Are we allowed to be mispal to Hashem to do a Ness for us? We know there's a Mishnah in Brachas that says that one is not allowed to be mispal a Tfilas Shav, something that's not likely to happen. We can't ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should change what already happened. How about asking Hashem for a Ness? Could we ask Him to perform miracles for us? So, the Ramah in Hilchas Channakah tells us that if, let's say, somebody forgot to say ala Nisim in benching, so he doesn't repeat benching, but how about if he remembered at the end of benching he forgot to say bench, he forgot to say ala Nisim. So Ramah says, and in Siman Taf Reish Pei Beis Sif Aleph, the Ramah says that he says Kishashachach ala Nisim bebirchas hamazon kishamagia Harachamon. When he gets to the Harachamon, he should say Harachamon ya'ase lanu Nisim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should do for us Nisim v'neflois kishem שעשה לאבותינו בימים בזמן, and then he says בימים. So it's very clear that the Ramah is telling us that we should ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do Nisim for us. Same too. The Mishnah Brurah tells us that the same thing is by Tefillah. If somebody forgot ala Nisim during davening, and again by davening the same halacha is that we don't repeat Shmonah Esrei if we forgot to say ala Nisim. However, if you remember towards the end of Shmonah Esrei, you say the Mishnah Brurah tells us you should say derech bakasha. If it's still like by all kind of you should say Yiratzain b'fanecha Hashem Elokeinu v'lekeinu ya'sa lanu Nisim k'mo שעשה לאבותינו בימים b'zman, and then you say בימים. So here are two places where it's clear that that we ask for a Ness. So there's a Sefer B'chor Shor that was written by the Tfilas Shav, and it was written by the Tfilas Shav. It's printed in the back of his Sefer Tfilas Shav. And he has on different Masechtas. And in Masechtas Shabbos Daf Chaf, he asks this kasha. He says that we know that you're not allowed to be mispal for a Ness. And even though the Shulchan Aruch doesn't paskin that way specifically, he doesn't say don't be mispal for a Ness, but that's implied because the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to be mispal that a zachar should be in the cave or in the cave should be a zachar, which would need a Ness. And therefore that's implied, and it's implied from the Shulchan Aruch that you're not allowed to ask for a Ness. So how can we ask for a Ness here? So he offers two terutzim. He says that maybe we're not allowed to ask for a personal Ness, for a yachid, but when we're asking ala Nisim, when we're asking by a Harachamon, we're asking for everybody, a Ness for Gans Klal Yisrael. Or maybe we're not allowed to ask for a Ness shalei al pi derech hateva, but a Ness al pi derech hateva you are allowed to ask. There's other terutzim that Achronim give to this kasha. Maybe that maybe you can be using up any Ness that's not going to have kvod shamayim and it's not going to be a kiddush Hashem is going to use up. That's the teretz of the Yeshuas Yaakov. It's going to use up schusim. You're not allowed to. So we shouldn't ask for such a Ness. Whereas if we have a Ness like Channakah, which was such a kiddush Hashem, that was marbek kvod shamayim and it doesn't use up schusim. But that wouldn't fit into Tfilas Shav. That would just be why we can't be mispal for a Ness. But the truth is, being mispal for a Ness didn't start with this Ramah. It's really a Shulchan Aruch, and it's a Toisus, and many Rishonim had the Nusach in every single ala Nisim. In the same siman, the Shulchan Aruch says, "Ein oimrim kishem she'asisa." V'yesh oimrim she'oimrim, I say. That's the Shulchan Aruch. What's he referring to? Ein oimrim kishem she'asisa. So Toisus is so the Shulchan Aruch is referring to a Toisus in Megillah, Daf Daled Amud Aleph, where Toisus says like this: that there was a Nusach, and that was actually the Nusach of the Machzavitri, that in every ala Nisim they said a Tfilah, and the Tfilah went ukeshem she'asisa la'avoseinu Nisim ugvuros bayamim mohem b'zman hazeh kein asei manu Hashem Elokeinu pele v'nisim l'toiva be'eis hazos. That was the Tfilah that many Rishonim had that Nusach. And Taisus over there in Megillah discusses that maybe it's inappropriate to say that tefillah in middle of moedim is supposed to be haidah, and maybe moedim is only for l'sha'ava, and it shouldn't be for future. So Taisus discusses if that Nusach is correct, and the Shulchan Aruch actually says that there's two shittas if we should say that Nusach. But nobody has a problem with the Nusach because we're asking for a Ness. Asking for a Ness doesn't seem to be a problem. It's just a question of if we should be asking for a Ness, it's smack in the middle of Moedim. So what do we do with the Tfilas Shav's kasha? So the truth is that the Tfilas Shav is basing his question very much on a Gemara in Brachos. The Gemara in Brachos, Daf Samach Amud Aleph, asks a question. The Mishnah said that you're not allowed to be mispalel. If somebody says that he's being mispalel, his wife is pregnant, and he's mispalel that his wife that the baby should be a boy, even though it might have already started as a girl. Harezu Tfilas Shav. So the Gemara asks a question: why is it a Tfilas Shav? We know, v'loy mahani rachami. We know that Leah had va'acha yolda bas vatikra Shmonah Dina. Mai va'acher amarav la'acher shadana Leah din ba'atzma va'amar yud beishvatim. She was mispalel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that since Rachel that if she's going to have another boy, the Rachel's going to end up only being maimed one shevet, and therefore she asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu to flip this baby into a girl, and that's how Dinah was born. So the Gemara asks, so it's clear that a boy could turn into a girl, and the Gemara answers, Ein maskirim ma'aseh Nisim. And the Achronim, including the Tfilas Shav, are understanding that you're not allowed to be mispalel for a Ness. It's true that by Leah there was a Ness happened. Leah was mispalel and a Ness happened, and the baby turned into Dinah, a girl. However, we're not allowed to be mispalel for a Ness. So since we're not allowed to be mispalel for a Ness, therefore it's still going to be a Tfilas Shav. The Iba same, but the Gemara says another teretz that it makes a difference if you mispal in the first 40 days or after the first 40 days of the baby being of the fetus. So their understanding emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim, meaning that you're not allowed emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim, you're not allowed to be mispal for a Ness. With that understanding, it's a little bit shver. How was Leah mispalel for a Ness? And some Achronim say that that's why the Gemara needed a second teretz. The Gemara needed a second teretz because it's shver. How did Leah, if emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim, if we're not allowed to be mispalel for a Ness, so how was Leah mispalel that it should turn to Dinah? However, maybe we can understand the lashon of emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim somewhat different. We know that Emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim is used in Chazal many other places. It's used in Yevamis, it's used in Chulin, and in Yevamis when the Gemara is talking about if we should decide that somebody if we could assume that the husband had died, even though al pi Ness he could have survived. The Gemara says Emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim. Over there we're not saying that we can't be mispalel for a Ness. The Gemara just means to say that we let's not mention a Ness because that's not what we're not going to base our decisions based on the possibility of a Ness. So emaskirim ma'aseh Nisim could mean let's not mention Nisim. So maybe that's what the Gemara means over here. Of course you're allowed to be mispalel for a Ness. And if we're mispalel for a Ness, it's not a Tfilas Shav. You're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to make a Ness. If you think you need a Ness and you think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be Mekayim your bakasha, be mispalel for a Ness. The Gemara here we're talking about somebody who's not being mispalel for a Ness. He's not asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do shloy al pi derech hateva. He's asking for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do al pi derech hateva. And he's still asking for something that al pi derech hateva is not possible. That's a Tfilas Shav. That's worthless. We don't speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and ask him something that doesn't happen. If you ask for a Ness, so you ask for a Ness, of course HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Kol Yachol, of course he could do it. So how did Leah? Why was Leah mispal? Because she was mispal for a Ness. And why in the Shulchan Aruch doesn't it say? Why doesn't the Shulchan Aruch spell out that you're not allowed to be mispal for a Ness? Because the truth is, of course, you are allowed to be mispal for a Ness. The reason, that's what we would say, that you're allowed to be mispal for a Ness. But if you're not being mispal, that it should be shlei al pi derech hateva, then it's shav, it's worthless. And that would be the pshat. Why when we say Harachamon and when we say Harachamon ya'sa ניסים, if somebody forgets to say ניסים or Yiratzen, and the Nusach of the Rishonim, where they were mispal for a Ness in every single ניסים, because they felt that in the schus of Channakah, the same thing, שעשה the Ness and Channakah, he should do for us ניסים, and they were taka being mispal for a Ness, they were taka being mispal that Kadosh Baruch Hu should perform for us ניסים.